This is Jordan Hale. You're listening to 99.3 FM, the last frequency. I don't know where you are tonight or who's left to hear this, but if your hands are still warm and your lungs are still working, you're doing better than most. It's just after 2 a.m. here at the truck stop bunker outside Nevada. We've had power flickering on and off all night, and the satellite receiver only picked up static for the last 3 hours. But about 10 minutes ago, something came through. It wasn't the military, wasn't the president, wasn't FEMA or NORAD or any of the voices we were told to trust when the world started peeling apart. It was California. A man's voice at first, calm, serious, not rushed, but with that tone that tells you everything just broke, and there's no putting it back. Then came the message from the governor. Effective immediately, the state of California no longer recognizes the authority of Washington, D.C. We will operate as an independent nation for the safety of our people. That was it. Short, flat, final. It played on repeat. 5 times. Back to back. Then it cut to a black screen. Then silence. I waited. I thought maybe it was a hoax, maybe a corrupted signal bouncing through the dust. But then something else happened. Power grids blinked across border towns. Phone networks along I-15 lit up for maybe 2 minutes, then went dead again. We pulled what we could from that flash of data. Reports say the California National Guard is on the move. Not toward any foreign threat, not toward the coast. They're setting up checkpoints on the Nevada line. Arizona too. I haven't heard from Oregon, but some drivers said there were flashing lights along the 5 North. No one was being let in or out. I need to say something before we go any further. This isn't just a state pulling away. This isn't about borders or votes or pride. This is what it feels like when the middle of the country disappears. There's no official word from the White House, not a press conference, not a tweet. Just some shaky video from earlier today. Someone claiming the president was flown out of D.C. at 4 a.m. last night. Others say he's dead. If he is alive, he hasn't spoken. But someone did. A voice I recognized. A staff sergeant out of Pendleton, near San Diego. He patched in through a scrambled broadcast frequency. Said the Marines down there weren't standing down. Said they were still federal. Still U.S. military. Still taking orders, though he didn't say from who. He sounded tired. Said they hadn't eaten in 3 days. No supply drop, no backup. Just static where there used to be command. Then he said something else. I didn't sign up to fight Americans. I sat with that for a long time. Maybe it's just one man's voice. Maybe it's the start of something bigger. Here's what I do know. Sacramento's dark, completely dark. GPS shows no satellite activity over the Capitol building. But San Francisco still has lights, still has water, still has power. It's being called the new capital of the Republic of California. That's the name people are using now. It's showing up on the darknet feeds. Some are calling it that. Others are just calling it the break. Silicon Valley's been quiet, no press releases, but there's talk they shut down exports, blocked federal access to key cloud systems, and cut ties with everything east of Arizona. To the rest of the country, it probably feels like California just vanished. But the truth is, it's still here. Just not with us anymore. Keep your radios close. We don't know what happens next, but I'll stay on as long as I can. If you hear something, anything, transmit it, repeat it, pass it on. We are the only way truth travels now. This is Jordan Hale, 99.3 FM, the last frequency. Still here, still listening. This is Jordan Hale, coming to you from 99.3 FM, the last frequency. I haven't slept in almost 2 days. The light outside is orange now. Not the soft kind that signals morning. It's a color you don't want to see in the sky, one that feels too close to fire. There's ash drifting again, like it did last year during the fires up north. But there's no blaze nearby. Not that I know of. This is something else. Something heavier. I stepped outside earlier, just past dawn, and the horizon looked like it was breathing. Still no planes overhead. No traffic on the highway either. Just a single set of tire tracks running east, out into the dust. When I was younger, my brother and I would tune into AM radio at night, twisting the dial just right to catch faint voices from states away. It felt like magic then, like you could hear the whole country if you just listened hard enough. But now, I can barely hear anything beyond this room. This station is old, wasn't built for war or secession or whatever we're calling this. But the backup generator still kicks in when the main grid fails, and the wiring's been patched with enough copper and tape to hold through a quake. It's not much, but it's working, for now. I promised I'd stay on the air, and I meant it. If you're hearing this, you need to know what's happening. Not just what the headlines used to tell us, but the pieces we're all trying to hold together. California has pulled away. Not metaphorically, not with paperwork and debates. It's a hard break, a silent one. The ports have shut down. Trucks that once moved fruit, medicine, machine parts, stopped. I've spoken with 2 long-haul drivers parked at a rest stop in Barstow. One of them, Marlene, said she tried to get back into Los Angeles to return to her family. The National Guard stopped her, told her the border was closed, said they were under new orders. She's been sitting in her cab ever since, running the AC off fumes. She hasn't seen her kids in 4 days. She didn't cry on the call, but her voice cracked when she said their names. I asked if she wanted to send a message over the air. She said no. She just wanted someone to know she was still there. So if you're somewhere near the 15, near Barstow, look for a white Peterbilt with blue stripes. If you see her, tell her her voice came through. Tell her we're listening. Another call came in just before sunrise. This one from a man in Fresno. Didn't give a name. Said he was a school teacher. He's sheltering with about 20 students, ages 8 through 13, in the basement of a public library. Said the insulin is almost gone, that they've been rationing crackers and canned soup, that the books are starting to feel more like fuel than stories. His signal broke twice during the call. The 3rd time it cut, it never came back. I don't know if that means the battery died, or if something worse happened, but if you're hearing this and you're in Fresno, try to reach the public library on 5th and Hawthorne. There are kids in that basement. They're waiting for help. They need you. We're getting more fragments from the coast. In San Francisco, the city council has reportedly declared itself the provisional capital of the new republic. Their words, not mine. There's footage online of the Golden Gate Bridge lined with tactical drones. They hover still, like dragonflies frozen mid-flight, just waiting for a signal. What worries me more is what I haven't seen. The freeways are empty. The skies are quiet. There are no protests, no gatherings, not even the usual chaos you'd expect when something this big happens. It's too quiet, like the world's holding its breath. And then there's the tech side. I don't claim to understand how Silicon Valley works. I can barely rewire a radio, let alone grasp how a cloud server works. But the reports we're getting, what few still come through, say the valley went dark at the exact same time the governor's message aired. And when I say dark, I mean blacked out, locked out. Whatever systems the federal government used to rely on from out west, cloud storage, encrypted communication, logistical software, they're gone, cut off, deleted or hidden. No one seems to know which. Some say this was planned for months, that key people were moved into place, others pushed out, networks rerouted slowly so no one noticed. But someone noticed. Someone always does. There's a man, goes by Runner on the open bands. He used to work in San Mateo, said he was in server security for a private firm contracted by the Department of Energy. He called in last night from a satellite uplink outside Tonopah. He told me something that made my stomach drop. He said the California secession wasn't just about politics or safety. It was about data. Control the bandwidth, he said, and you control the silence. Those were his words. I asked him what he meant. He paused a long time before replying. Bandwidth means more than internet now. It's food routes, energy grids, satellite timing, naval radar. You think that stuff runs off intuition? It doesn't. It runs off ghost code built in Palo Alto. And now it's gone. He said he'd call back. He hasn't yet. There's something happening underground. I don't mean bunkers or caves. I mean conversations that aren't meant to be heard. Some people are calling it the chasm, that space between what we see and what's being built beneath the surface. A new system, a new order. I've seen screenshots of new currency, not dollars, not crypto either. Something called the Sol, gold-tinted notes marked with a seal of a burning bear. I don't know if it's real or just another rumor, but people believe it, and right now, belief is as real as anything else. Out in the Central Valley, things are different. The crops are dying without fuel for irrigation. Truckers have blocked off key routes into Modesto and Bakersfield. Armed locals, sheriffs, farmers, even mail carriers, have set up their own checkpoints. They call themselves the Central Valley Resistance. They don't recognize the California Republic. They still fly the stars and stripes, nailed sideways to fence posts. There are stories of supply trucks being stopped and searched. Drones shot out of the sky. Federal agents turned away at gunpoint. This isn't a single break. This is fracture after fracture. A plate shattering so fast you can't see where the cracks begin. In Oakland, there's talk of something else. A technate, that's the word they're using. Run not by elected officials, but by systems engineers, AI specialists, former cops, and what's left of the local grid control crews. They've seized utilities, rewired the power stations. The rumor is they've automated their police patrols using reprogrammed delivery bots. I don't know how much of that is true, but I've heard the recordings. A low hum that echoes between buildings at night. Mechanical, regular, like a heartbeat made of static. If you're in Oakland, send a signal. Let us know what's real, what's not. The rest of us need to hear it. And across the ocean, the world is watching. China released a statement this morning recognizing California's autonomy, said they support self-determination in times of global instability. That's the phrase they used. Meanwhile, Russian bots are flooding social feeds with memes, mocking DC, praising West Coast liberty. The federal government hasn't responded, at least not officially, but the Air Force has. We've got confirmed flyovers near the southern coast, bomber wings circling high. No strikes yet, just presence. A warning, maybe. Or a rehearsal. Naval bases in San Diego are under lockdown. Marines at Camp Pendleton haven't surrendered, They're broadcasting shortwave messages from what sounds like a hidden channel. I'll play you a clip of one, if the static clears. Static, distorted voice. This is Echo Delta 24. Federal forces still operational, holding perimeter, orders unclear, supplies low, no further contact with DC radio, silence from command, awaiting instruction. Then silence again. These aren't just soldiers cut off from leadership. They're stranded. They're scared. And they don't know who they're taking orders from anymore. Neither do we. More to come. Keep your radios charged. This is Jordan Hale, 99.3 FM, the last frequency. Still standing, still listening, still here. This is Jordan Hale, still broadcasting on 99.3 FM, the last frequency. I've been thinking a lot about silence. It used to mean something peaceful, a quiet room, a break from noise, the calm that came after the kids went to bed, or when snow blanketed the roads and no one dared to drive. But now, silence feels like something else entirely. It's everywhere, in the spaces where voices used to be, where air traffic used to hum, where trains used to rattle through the night and you could count on someone, somewhere, being awake. But lately, silence feels heavy, like it's watching you. There was a time when silence meant safety. Now it feels like the beginning of a broadcast that never comes. I've been here at this old station since the second day of the break. That's what I'm calling it now. Not secession, not a declaration, not even a revolution. Just the break. Because that's what it is. A snap, a tear. A moment when something that used to hold weight gave out, and now there's nothing but air where the floor should be. A listener from Monterey called in this morning. Her name was Willa. Said she used to teach marine biology before the schools shut down last spring. She's sheltering with her partner and a small group of neighbors in a canyon house east of the city. They still have rainwater catchers, a propane stove, a shortwave kit they built from spare parts, and an old ham radio set. She told me she doesn't know what to tell the children anymore. One of them, a boy named Elian, keeps asking if California is still part of America. She didn't know how to answer. She said she doesn't feel like she's in a new country, but she doesn't feel like she's in the old one either. Then she said something that stuck with me. She said, "We didn't leave. We were left." I let that sit on the line for a long moment, because that's the thing no one seems to want to say out loud. People didn't vote for this. They didn't ask for a border to appear between grocery stores and the highway. They didn't sign up for drones patrolling downtown streets or for the National Guard to be the only vehicles moving after dark. They were left. Left in the quiet, left in the dark. And still, they're surviving. We got a signal last night from someone near the Oregon border. Said they were walking north through the forest, following old ranger trails and using stars to navigate since GPS had gone out. Said there were checkpoints every few miles now, lit with floodlights and marked with new insignias, ones they didn't recognize. The man, he called himself Calder, said the guards weren't regular army, said they didn't speak much, just scanned IDs, checked trunks, and let no one cross eastward. He said he saw a woman turned back at gunpoint. She was holding a baby wrapped in a beach towel. He didn't know what happened to her after that. The question everyone keeps asking is, how did it happen this fast? How does a place like California, home to millions, to endless coastlines, to Hollywood and Silicon Valley and wine country and surf towns, just snap loose and drift? I'll tell you what I think. It didn't happen fast. It just fell all at once, like a bridge eaten away by rust. It It looks fine, until the weight becomes too much. And then it goes, all at once, in the middle of a morning that felt like any other. The U.S. military has gone mostly silent, at least stateside. That's not to say they're gone. Far from it. But most forces are deployed, spread across war zones in Europe and Asia, holding lines that feel further away by the hour. We're getting trickles of intel from satellite channels, Chinese naval formations near the Aleutians, Japanese vessels falling back toward Guam, NATO allies divided on what to recognize, who to support, what to do if the US starts fracturing from the inside out. And then there's the European Union. Last night, France issued a carefully worded statement calling California's independence a moment of global concern requiring international observation. That might sound diplomatic, but read between the lines. They're preparing to deal with California as its own entity, not a rogue state, not a rebel province, but something else, something new. Why? Because California holds something they want, not weapons, not oil, but data. Silicon Valley, despite the silence, hasn't stopped. That region holds the encryption keys to most of the world's secure communication systems. If you think they shut it down, you're wrong. They just rerouted it. They've started testing something new, a mesh of private satellite uplinks and low-orbit communication nodes, launched quietly over the last 2 years. They don't need the old internet anymore. They've built their own. And when you control information, you control what's real. But not everyone's playing by those rules. In Sacramento, what's left of the State House was bombed last night. No official word on casualties, but early reports say it wasn't a foreign strike. It came from inside. A rogue militia calling itself the Sons of the Union claimed responsibility. They said California's betrayal won't go unpunished. Their broadcast lasted 2 minutes before being taken down, but the message was clear. Not everyone's letting go quietly. Meanwhile, a different kind of order is growing in the Central Valley. It started with farmers, angry that their crops were going unharvested, their water redirected, their towns ignored. Now they're armed. They've taken over freight corridors, blocked off railways, seized control of irrigation systems. They're calling for a return to the old Constitution. I don't know what that means anymore. But they're not alone. There's a rumor, a new one, that something's happening down by the docks in Long Beach. Not government, not resistance, something else. The story goes that after the break, with federal oversight gone and the coastlines unguarded, private groups stepped in, crypto tycoons, mercenaries, ex-military, cargo pirates with more bandwidth than bullets. They call themselves the Pacific Syndicates. They've taken over the ports, control black market shipments, fuel, medicine, even bandwidth. That's right, bandwidth. In some cities, people are trading access to high-speed mesh networks for clean water and safe passage. It's a new currency, and the syndicates run it. Someone sent in a video from Oakland. Grainy, low light. You can barely hear the sound over the wind. But it shows a group of kids, maybe teenagers, riding electric scooters in formation, carrying thermal drones strapped to their backs. They glide down an empty street like they've rehearsed it. No talking, just movement. At the end of the street, they stop. One of them flashes a pattern of light using their phone screen. Morse code. Then they vanish into the dark. Some say they're messengers for the technate. Others say they're ghosts. Kids who never made it home and now run messages between fallen buildings. I don't know what to believe, but I know what I saw. I need to say something else while I still can. My sister lives in San Jose. Or she did. We haven't spoken since day 5. I keep checking the same message thread. Keep rereading the last thing she sent. It just says, "Don't come back. It's already different." That's all. No punctuation, no signature. Just a warning. And the space that followed. It's strange, the things we hold on to. Not food, not weapons, but words. Words from the people we used to know, carried across frequencies no one trusts anymore. I don't know what California becomes next. A country? A corporate zone? A collapsed echo of itself? But I do know one thing. You didn't vote for this war, but it found you anyway. So tonight, if you're somewhere out there with a working radio, if the lights are still on and the windows are still intact, hold close the people who are with you, because the world outside is quieter than it should be. And sometimes, that's how you know something is coming. This is Jordan Hale, 99.3 FM, the last frequency. Still here, still breathing, still listening. This is Jordan Hale, still holding the mic here at 99.3 FM, the last frequency. I was going through the generator logs just now. I noticed something strange. Last night, for about 30 seconds, our backup power surged like it was pulling juice from something bigger than itself. The lights in the hallway flickered blue, not white. That only happens when our dish picks up an external link. But there's nothing around us. No repeater towers, no relays. Nothing but empty road, rusted out trucks, and a sky that doesn't make room for stars anymore. So, where did the signal come from? I've got theories. Most are half-baked, but one of them keeps gnawing at me. What if California didn't go dark? What if it just stopped speaking to the rest of us? Someone out there is still broadcasting, quietly, carefully, on channels that don't show up on commercial bands. I've been riding the lower spectrum all morning, picking up strange pulses, short, sharp, almost like a heartbeat. Not random, patterned. Someone's counting time. Maybe it's military. Maybe not. But it means something's still alive behind the wall. And make no mistake, there is a wall now. It's not made of bricks or checkpoints or soldiers, though you'll find all three. It's made of silence. Last night, I spoke to someone just outside Needles. Her name's Ramira. She's a nurse, or she was, at a clinic that shut down 2 days ago when all the supply trucks vanished. She stayed behind with 3 patients who couldn't walk, set up candles, rationed the remaining IV fluids, boiled water over a trash fire in the alley out back. She called me from a payphone powered by a car battery rigged up by one of her patients, an old mechanic who refused to leave. Said he didn't want to die on the side of a freeway. Ramirez said the border guard stopped a man trying to bring in insulin from Arizona. They took the medication and turned him away, called him a foreign asset. That's what she said. Foreign asset. That's what the Republic of California is calling people now. Not neighbors, not citizens, assets. Ramira didn't cry while we spoke. She just got quiet at the end. Said she could hear breathing through the wall that divided her clinic from the street. Not people, not footsteps. Just slow, even breathing. She said it made her feel like the state itself was alive, listening through the walls, deciding who to keep and who to ignore. If you're in Needles, check on her. Look for a clinic with boarded windows and an oil drum full of ash near the door. Knock twice, then pause, then knock once more. She said that's her code now. It's how she tells strangers from threats. I'm also getting more word from the coast. The Pacific syndicates are no longer rumors. They've carved out turf across the shoreline, Long Beach, parts of San Pedro, even inland near the old train yards. They've taken over shipping routes, commandeered tugboats, built floating checkpoints just off the piers. You can't dock unless you pay them. And payment isn't always money. It's data, fuel, bodies sometimes, skilled ones, coders, medics, engineers. They don't care about flags or oaths. They care about who can keep the machine running. We got a pirate broadcast from someone named Vin. No last name, just Vin. He said he worked out of the port of Oakland, used to load ships back before the ships stopped coming. Now he works for the syndicates, not by choice. He said they gave him a tablet and a shift schedule, 8 hours a day, scanning containers and marking anything national defense grade for diversion. When he asked what that meant, they told him not to ask again. He said the tablet tracks his location even when it's off. He said the boats have drones flying overhead now, reading license plates and heat signatures. But here's the part that chilled me. He said they're not just stockpiling gear. They're building a bank. A data bank. Not crypto, not credit. They're storing identities, face scans, medical records, behavioral logs pulled from fitness watches and ride-share apps and smart fridges and old satellites still pinging through the dust. They're building profiles. And if you don't match the right one, you don't get through the port. That's the kind of country California is becoming. A place where your old life is worth less than your battery percentage. The federal side isn't much better. Reports say Camp Pendleton is on full lockdown. The Marines there haven't surrendered, but they're starving. Supply lines were cut on day 4. One man radioed in last night, said he and 5 others went out for rations and were ambushed near Oceanside by masked shooters. He didn't know who they were, only that they weren't speaking English. He said one of them wore a badge that looked like an old recycling symbol, but with a lightning bolt inside the arrows. They didn't shoot to kill, they shot to wound. Then they took the supplies and vanished. He limped back to camp and hasn't heard from the others. His last message was barely a whisper. We're not soldiers anymore. We're bait. I wish I could tell you these are isolated stories. That maybe it's just the fog of war or what's left of it, playing tricks on desperate minds. But it's not. Every call, every signal, every crackling voice that manages to push through this broken mess says the same thing. This isn't a fight for land anymore. It's a fight for memory, for the right to remember what it felt like before the world tilted sideways and started pulling us into silence. And it's a fight to make sure we don't forget who we were before we became strangers to each other. There's still no word from Las Vegas. Power's been intermittent. The strip went dark 3 nights ago. Not just dimmed, black. Emergency broadcasts out of Nevada say the state has activated internal defense protocols. That means roadblocks, air traffic restrictions, and military units redirected from rural bases to urban zones. No one's confirming it officially, but I think Nevada's afraid. Afraid that if California can walk away and live, so can someone else. And that's the real fear, isn't it? That maybe this is contagious. Not the war, the idea that the country we thought we knew doesn't remember us anymore. So we stop remembering it. Before I sign off for the next hour, I want to read a note I found taped to the back of our front door this morning. It was written in pencil on the back of an old gas receipt. No name, just these words. If you hear me, pass it on. The road east is watched, the road west is broken, but the sky's still open, and we're still breathing. If you've got breath, You've got time. Don't waste either. I don't know who left it, but I believe them. This is Jordan Hale, 99.3 FM, the last frequency. Still listening, still here, still breathing. This is Jordan Hale. You're listening to 99.3 FM, the last frequency. It's just past 3 a.m. out here, and the wind hasn't stopped whispering through the busted vents in this concrete bunker since sundown. I wrapped the studio mics in cloth to stop the rattling, but the hum still leaks through. Sounds like breathing. I haven't slept. I keep pacing the hallway with the transmitter in my hand, hoping the static turns back into a voice I know. So far, it hasn't. I keep thinking about something my dad once said. He was a mechanic, a quiet man with grease on his hands and too many worries packed into his shoulders. One night, when the news was talking about oil prices and border skirmishes, he turned off the TV, looked at me and said, "It won't be the big things that break us, son. It'll be the quiet." I didn't get it then. I do now. Tonight I heard from someone just south of Chico. She called herself Aria. She used to work in a vineyard. She said the land is drying up. Grapes withering on the vine, pumps failing without diesel. Her voice cracked when she talked about the frost. Said it came too early this year, and no one had time to prepare. She said the hardest part isn't the crops or the cold. It's the way people stop looking each other in the eye. She told me her neighbor, who used to host Sunday cookouts, now walks the property line with a rifle slung over his shoulder. Not pointed at anyone, not aimed, just there, just a message. She said she waves anyway, and he never waves back. I sat with that silence for a long time, and then the line dropped. No goodbye, just gone. There's a phrase floating around the shortwave channels now. The cold counties. That's what people are calling the northern stretch of California that's gone half dark. Places where no new rules have been issued, no leaders stepped up, no shots fired. Just cold homes, dark roads, and people disappearing into themselves. It's the kind of quiet that doesn't feel empty. It feels full, like something's watching you from the other side of the glass. I got a message through an encoded band from someone in the Santa Cruz Mountains. Said he and his wife rigged a shortwave relay out of a stripped drone and a car battery. He didn't give a name, just said, "We're watching the coast disappear." He said parts of Highway 1 have collapsed into the ocean. Mudslides, earthquakes, some say sabotage. No one's confirming anything anymore. But the result is the same. The coast is peeling away. It's not just land breaking off. It's people. Every day we lose someone. Not just to bullets or hunger or failed medicine. We lose them to doubt, to fear, to the feeling that maybe none of this is worth fighting for anymore. But I don't believe that. If I did, I wouldn't still be speaking into this mic. I got a call from a boy named Mateo, 12 years old. Said he and his little sister are holed up in an old ranger station near the Sierra Nevada line. No adults left, just them and a dog. He said they sleep during the day and only come out when the moon rises. He said the dog can hear things before they do, before the hum starts up in the trees. I asked him what hum. He said it's like music without music, just a tone, low and steady. Said it makes your teeth itch. He said it comes from the sky. I don't know what that means. I don't care. What matters is he's still out there, still surviving. If you're near the Sierras and you hear a dog barking twice, then once, then twice again, that's their code. check the ranger cabins, and bring food. We're hearing more about something called the mirror line. That's what locals near Palm Springs are calling it. A stretch of road where nothing electronic works. Phones glitch, radios cut out, even flashlights flicker. Some say it's natural, geological interference. Others say it's deliberate, that something buried beneath the sand is jamming signals. I can't confirm it, but 3 different callers have described the same thing. A man walking alone, pale shirt, sunburned arms, a notebook tucked under one arm. They say he doesn't speak. He just writes down your name and keeps walking. I don't know what that means, but if you see him, don't follow. I've been receiving more messages out of what's left of Los Angeles. The city hasn't fallen, not exactly, but it's changed. The freeways are mostly still. The skies are clearer now than they've been in years, but no one's looking up. Because everything you need to worry about is already on the ground. The power grids flicker off at random. Whole blocks are dark for days. Drones buzz overhead. Not government anymore, just private security. Some are watching. Others are delivering packages, warnings, notes. There's a rumor that downtown is being run by something called Signal House. No one's seen their faces. They communicate through LED billboards that change every hour. Short messages, codes. People gather at intersections just to read them, like waiting for scripture. And then they go back to whatever survival looks like for them. One message, caught on video and forwarded to the station by a listener who called herself Northbound, read, "Don't trust the lights. Watch the shadows. They remember more." I don't know what that means, but I believe it. More and more, the war outside the country is starting to look simple compared to what's inside it. We're not just losing cities or ports or power. We're losing the rhythm of being human. And yet somehow, people keep going. There's a signal now from a camp near Modoc, remote place, cold as hell at night, but they've built a system of mirrors and solar panels that tracks the sun even through cloud cover. They power lights at night, run water pumps, charge batteries. They don't have a name. They don't care about names. They just say, "If you're alive and peaceful, you're welcome." That's it. So if you're out near the border of Oregon and the high desert starts giving you chills, look for mirrored plates on wooden poles. That's their sign. Follow the light. And don't bring noise. This is Jordan Hale, still transmitting from a truck stop bunker in Nevada, still picking up static from the edge of what used to be home. If you're hearing me, you're already doing better than most. Hold the line, whatever that means for you. Because someone, somewhere, is still listening. 99.3 FM. The last frequency. Still breathing. Still here. This is Jordan Hale. You're listening to 99.3 FM, the last frequency. It's late. Might be past midnight. I've lost track. There's no sunrise anymore. Not really. Just a slow dimming of the sky and a colder kind of wind that moves through the valley, like it's carrying someone else's breath. I don't sleep much these days. I'm afraid if I close my eyes, the world will change again, and I won't be able to catch up. There was a time when I believed the country would hold, when even at its ugliest, its messiest, the idea of the United States meant something more than just a patchwork of counties and flags. I don't believe that anymore. Not because I stopped loving it, but because it stopped recognizing us. And when a place forgets its people, the people forget it back. I want to tell you about a woman named Brienne. She called in from somewhere east of Bakersfield, near the oil fields that are mostly dry now. She used to work for the county, emergency management. Said she still wears her badge when she goes out, even though no one's checking credentials anymore. She said the worst part isn't the collapse. It's how quickly people learn to pretend they don't remember what things were like before. She said she walked past a fire station last week. The doors were locked, the windows were covered, but inside someone had lit candles along the walls. Not electric lights, candles, hundreds of them. No one was there. Just flickering rows of wax and smoke. A kind of shrine, she said, to what used to be. She said it felt like the building itself was trying to hold on to something. And then she said this: if you stand still long enough, the world starts whispering to you. I don't know what's more haunting, the thought that it's true, or the thought that it isn't. We've gotten word from northern Arizona that border tension is growing. Not soldiers, not official barricades, just groups of people standing at overpasses and state lines with binoculars and radios and white vans that don't have plates. No one's crossing in either direction without being watched. And yet, despite all that, there's a kind of current running through the air now, like something old is cracking open, and no one's sure if they're ready to look inside. I got a signal earlier today from someone who identified himself only as Gray. He's in San Luis Obispo. Or was. The line cut halfway through. He said the town's split in half, not by fighting, but by silence. On one side, those who've accepted the new government, the Republic of California, the digital ID cards, the ration stamps tied to biometric scans. They say it's safer, streamlined, efficient. On the other side, those who won't comply. They still use paper. They carry solar radios in their pockets and trade food face-to-face instead of scanning wristbands. Gray said the two sides don't talk anymore. He said kids who used to ride the same bus now walk to different shelters. Teachers avoid eye contact in the grocery line. No one raises their voice. But no one breaks the divide either. It's like watching a rope pulled tighter and tighter, waiting for the fibers to snap. And then he said something I won't forget. He said, "We didn't lose a war. We lost the ability to believe in the same morning." That stuck with me. Because out here, when I look at the sky now, I can't tell what part of it still belongs to us. I want to read a message now. It came handwritten. No return address. Just a plastic bag taped to our station's front door with a rock. Inside was a folded piece of cardboard torn from a cereal box. The writing was neat. Block letters. Pencil. To the person still speaking on 99.3, I don't know your face. But I know your voice. We still listen. There's 6 of us in this garage. We made a map with bottle caps and string. When the grid is quiet, we light it up with a lantern and point to the cities we used to know. We don't remember who we were before, but we remember the rhythm of what it meant to feel safe. Thank you for still talking. We pretend you're here with us. D. To D, whoever you are, thank you. You reminded me that this frequency isn't just static. It's a thread across the broken parts. I want to share something personal now. I got a voice message from my nephew. I didn't expect it. It came through a patched band, routed through half a dozen relays. I almost deleted it thinking it was corrupted. But then I heard his voice, shaky, young, trying to sound older than he is. He said he was safe said his mom, my sister, had taken them up north, somewhere cold, somewhere quiet. He said the snow kept the power lines down, but they made a shelter with neighbors. Old church basement. Still had Bibles on the shelf and canned beans from a food drive. He said, "Uncle Jordan, I know you're out there. I hear your voice. It helps us sleep. Please don't stop." And then the message cut. No goodbye. Just that silence again. But this time, it didn't feel empty. It felt like breath. Like proof. So for my nephew, if you're listening, I won't stop. I'll stay here. With this microphone. With this voice. Because maybe that's all any of us can do now. Stay loud enough that the quiet doesn't win. This is Jordan Hale. 99.3 FM. The last frequency. Still breathing. Still speaking. Still here. This is Jordan Hale, broadcasting live, or whatever counts as live these days, from a former gas station wired to hell and duct-taped to heaven. 99.3 FM, the last frequency. The static's been thick tonight. It feels like someone is dragging a key across the sky. I've been riding the lower bands for hours, trying to pull words from the noise. Most of it's gibberish. Military crosstalk, broken Morse, fragments of civilian channels that sound like they're coming from underwater. But about 40 minutes ago, something came through. A message, repeated 3 times. Same voice. Calm. Flat. Female. To all units still holding Sierra Sector Grid Point 09. Stand by for extraction. Hold perimeter. Secure visual beacons. Protocol Atlas Red has been confirmed. Repeat, Atlas Red is confirmed. Then the line went dead. I don't know what Atlas Red is. But the way she said it, like a goodbye that already happened. I've been trying to map the pieces. Up north, there are scattered holdouts, groups of engineers, teachers, ex-military, all doing what they can to keep light and water flowing in forgotten towns. They're not aligned with California or the federal side. They're calling themselves latches, not communities, not enclaves. Latches, like the last turn of a bolt before the door stays shut. Someone from Redding, calls himself Finch, said they've built a system of mirrored signals to warn each other of approaching drones. He said they're using an old Boy Scout code, flashing sequences off aluminum plates tied to trees. Said it only works when the clouds break. He ended the message with, "We're not ghosts. We're not gone. We're just keeping our heads down until the noise eats itself." I like that. Then there's the other side. Got a ping from near Sacramento. Not from inside the city. From the fringe. A place called Rancho Murrieta. Last census had it as a retirement community. Not anymore. Now it's a bunker. A man named Tomas got on the line. Said he was a mail carrier before everything broke. Now he's security. Their gates are reinforced. Roads are watched. They have solar arrays, a shortwave dish, and a wall of paper maps 3 layers thick. But no one leaves. No one's allowed in. Not even to trade. He said something's happened in Sacramento proper. Said you can't hear birds there anymore. No dogs, no traffic. Just the sound of electricity. Buzzing. Constant. He said people who cross into the city don't come back the same. One man returned and spent 5 hours drawing concentric circles on the floor with a rock. Another came back with no shoes, no voice, just a slip of paper in his pocket with 3 words. This is mercy. No one knows what it means. But they've stopped sending people in. Further south, the city of Riverside has reportedly declared neutrality. They don't fly any flag. Not California, not federal. Just a gray sheet nailed to the side of their courthouse with the words, "No more lines." They've shut down their digital grid. No Wi-Fi. No mobile data. Everything's been rerouted to handwritten notes, bicycles, and wallboards at central intersections. It's working. Or at least, it's not falling. They use chalk on pavement to mark water-safe zones, medical supply runs, child watch groups. The only rule, no uniforms, no ranks. One woman I spoke to, a former ER nurse named Alina, said, "We got tired of watching men with badges kill other men with badges." I didn't press her on it. We're all carrying things now that aren't meant to be told too quickly. Still no word from federal command. Still no press conferences. No unity speeches. Just quiet military flyovers and what's left of NORAD's automated warnings. The ones that loop every few hours like prayers no one believes in anymore. One message just keeps repeating. Do not engage unless fired upon. Do not approach California-controlled airspace without clearance. Do not abandon your post. There's a lot buried in that last line. Do not abandon your post. What if the post abandoned them? What if the line they were told to hold doesn't exist anymore? I got a call this evening from a man stuck in what used to be a checkpoint near Barstow. His voice was thin, dry, like he hadn't spoken to anyone in days. He said he was a traffic controller before this, worked airfields, knew how to speak clearly under pressure. But now he just listens. He's trapped in the guard booth, too risky to leave. There's movement in the hills. He says lights flicker on and off like they're scanning, not signaling. He calls them the long eyes. He hasn't seen a face in 4 days. He asked me to read a name out loud, said if anyone hears it, they'll know what it means. So here it is. Mira Lee Weston. I'm still holding. That's what he wanted. Just that. I hope she's listening. I hope someone is. I've also started getting letters again, not emails, not encrypted pings, handwritten pages, left in our mailbox outside the fence, folded inside plastic bags, sometimes wrapped in twine, sealed with wax, even one written on birch bark. Some are just drawings. One showed a mountain with a hole where the sun used to be. Underneath, in shaky pencil, someone wrote, "The warmth is underground now." I think about that line a lot, because up here above ground, the world is colder than it used to be. Not just in weather, in feeling, in sound. But there are still embers. You, for one. You're listening. Still here, still breathing. That's enough for tonight. This is Jordan Hale. 99.3 FM, the last frequency, one signal, one thread, still holding. This is Jordan Hale, still here at 99.3 FM. The lights blinked 3 times tonight. Not a surge, not a failure. Just 3 quiet pulses, like someone out there was trying to speak in code. There's no one else in this building. Just me, the radio gear, and a pile of empty cans I haven't had time to clean. So if something is trying to talk to me through electricity, it's got my full attention. I've been thinking about memory lately. What we choose to keep, what we let go of. I used to remember birthdays, grocery lists, song lyrics. Now I remember voices, how they break on the last syllable of a name, how they flatten when someone says, "I'm the only one left," how they stretch when they're pretending not to be afraid. I remember the rhythm of a father talking to me while his kids slept in the back seat. I remember a girl reading out loud from a school book like it was scripture. And I remember silence that came too quickly. Calls that cut off mid-breath. Those stay with me. Today, I heard from a place I didn't expect. Eureka, way up north. A man named Daniel got through, said the town's gone half quiet, half crazy. Some of it's intact, co-ops, water filtration, even a small mesh network someone patched through an old weather balloon. But he said something strange has started happening. Every night around the same time, a fog rolls in, thick, cold, and with it, an old siren from somewhere near the dock starts up. No one knows who triggers it. It just wails for 20 seconds, and then stops. Daniel said no one goes out when it happens. Not even the scavengers. He said it's become a rule, spoken quietly and passed through hand signals and glances. When the fog comes, you stay still. I don't know what it means. I'm not sure he does either. But the way he said it, it sounded like prayer. Meanwhile, in what used to be San Bernardino, I got a shaky connection from a man sheltering with his grandmother. They've moved into an old museum, locked doors, thick walls, no windows on the first floor. He said they've been trading batteries for canned food with a nearby group who call themselves the Archive. The Archive is something I've been hearing more about. They're not preppers, not militia. They're historians, or as one woman called them, memory hoarders. They go around salvaging books, documents, hard drives, even handwritten journals. They restore them, digitize what they can, and then bury encrypted thumb drives in weatherproof capsules throughout the state. She said it's not about saving the past. It's about keeping the future from being rewritten. That hit me hard, because in a world where signals die and power grids flicker, what gets remembered becomes the truth, and everything else just rots. We got another coded burst through the northern band, a name I hadn't heard in weeks. The Haven. It was only 3 words. Still here, supplies low. That was it. No coordinates, no call sign. But if the Haven's still active, even barely, that means someone out there is still holding the line. I remember when that name first appeared. Weeks back. Whispered by truckers, scribbled on gas receipts, mumbled into low-band channels like a rumor too fragile to test. They were one of the first places to form after the break. No flag, no leaders, just rules. Stay quiet, stay kind, stay alive. I don't know how many are left now, but 3 words mean everything when you're surrounded by silence. Still here. Supplies low. I'll take it. I want to shift gears for a second. I've been logging frequencies that don't belong to anyone. Quiet bands, narrow slices of air where no one speaks. Tonight I heard music. Just 3 notes. Played over and over. It sounded like an old toy piano. Off-key. Broken. But rhythmic. I don't know what it means. Maybe it's someone trying to keep a child calm. Maybe it's someone going mad. Maybe it's both. But I'll keep logging it. Because if there's one thing I've learned, it's this. Even static carries a heartbeat if you listen long enough. A boy named Isaac wrote to me. Left a note under a rock at the edge of the station's front lot. It was torn from a spiral notebook, spelled phonetically. Still careful. We live in the basement now. Mama says the son is sick. We draw with charcoal on the wall. She says if we stop drawing, the dark gets bigger. Please keep talking. Even if we can't talk back, it helps. Isaac, if you're hearing this, keep drawing. You're making more light than you know. I want to share one more thing before the next hour flips. It's something I found written on the back of an old cassette tape that was shoved into the studio's wall, hidden behind insulation. I've lived here months, and I just noticed it today. The tape didn't work, but the writing did. When the country forgets your name, write it down anyway. Someone will need it later. That's what I'm doing here. Saying the names, remembering the voices, holding the space so silence doesn't win. This is Jordan Hale, 99.3 FM. The last frequency. Still talking, still waiting, still here. This is Jordan Hale on 99.3 FM, the last frequency. I've had the same thought circling in my head all night, that maybe the scariest thing about what's happening now isn't the collapse. It's how easy it is to get used to it. You start adjusting. At first, you ration because you have to. Then you ration because you're afraid of running out. Then one day, you eat half of what you need and don't feel hungry anymore. And it's not just food, it's trust, it's sound. It's the part of you that used to look strangers in the eye. It gets quieter, bit by bit, until silence doesn't feel like danger anymore. It just feels normal. I heard from someone today out of Mono County, said the mountains are full of people now, scattered, silent, and armed. Not a militia, not even a group, just individuals. They call them pockets. That's how the ranger described it. He used to patrol the trails up there. Now he says the woods are filled with little fires and no voices. People live 10 feet from each other without ever saying hello. Because they're scared. And because in some places, saying hello has consequences. We've gotten more reports of the quiet laws. Unofficial, unposted, but strictly followed. They show up in small towns across the borderland, where old California ends and no one's sure who's in charge anymore. The rules are passed by whispers. No noise after dusk. No engines between midnight and 4. No names spoken aloud unless you know who's listening. People tape their windows, tie rags around wind chimes, let animals out to wander without collars in case someone follows the tags back. I asked one caller why. Why such careful silence? He didn't answer right away. Then he said, because something is listening. I asked what. He hung up. I got a letter from someone in what used to be Lake County. She goes by Kay. Said she's the last one living in a former Airbnb complex. 12 little cabins, all empty now except hers. She writes by candlelight, draws maps in the dirt behind the laundry room, and keeps a running tally of stars that disappear from the sky each week. She said, 3 went missing last night. Not clouds, not smog, just gone. She said she started writing messages on the inside of her windows, backwards, so anyone looking in from outside will see them clearly. I asked what the messages say. She wrote, "You're not forgotten." She said she hopes that whoever or whatever is out there sees them. I do too. There's another rumor going around now, one I've heard in different forms from at least 6 different sources across the state. They say there's a train still running. One train. No schedule. No stops. No conductor anyone can see. It moves slow, just fast enough that you can't quite catch it, but not fast enough to hear it coming from far away. It doesn't run on any known track. People say it shows up on stretches of road that were never rails, across salt flats, over dry rivers, once even cutting straight through a city park. Some say if you see it and you try to board, the doors open. Others say the doors don't exist, just windows, and behind them, people, sitting still, all looking straight ahead. No one knows where it goes. No one who's tried to follow it has come back. Is it real? I don't know. But the way people describe it, they always say the same thing. It doesn't make a sound. I got a call this morning from someone in the Imperial Valley, a farmer, old school, still working the land, even though water is scarce and every drop feels like a sin. He said the soil's cracking underfoot, that nothing will grow this season. But he keeps trying. Because he said, even when there's no food, putting seeds in the ground reminds you who you used to be. He said a group of kids from a nearby school showed up at his gate last week, not asking for help, offering it. They brought a bag of mixed seeds, a broken shovel, and one working solar lamp. He let them in. Now they're living in the barn. They don't speak much. Don't ask for more than they give. But every morning they line up and wait for instructions. He said it feels like something new, not a return to order, but maybe a start. If you're near the valley and see a red sheet tied to a mailbox post, that's their signal. Don't approach fast. Don't call out. Just stop. Wait. They'll come to you if it's safe. There's no longer a war in the way we used to mean it. No front lines, no flags clashing. Now it's memory against forgetting. It's noise against stillness. It's people like you and people like me trying to keep the thread unbroken. So I'll keep speaking. Even when the mic goes warm with silence. Even when the batteries run low. Even if there's no one left to answer. Because maybe, somewhere, someone's listening with their ear pressed to the wall, waiting for the one sound that says, "You're not the last one. You never were." This is Jordan Hale, 99.3 FM, the last frequency. Still here, still breathing, still holding the line. This is Jordan Hale. You're listening to 99.3 FM, the last frequency. If you're still with me, we've made it through another night. I used to say morning, but it doesn't feel right anymore. The sun rises, yeah, but it doesn't bring anything with it. No sense of rhythm, no return, just light, landing on the same broken fences and burned out streetlights as yesterday. I was out back earlier. Had to reset one of the satellite dishes. The wind's gotten worse. Sharp and dry. Smells like ozone. Or maybe old metal. I stood there for a while, staring east, thinking about the road that used to lead to Sacramento. It's just a blur now. Dust and torn signs and barricades half swallowed by dirt. But in my head, I remembered the drive. Gas stations, fast food wrappers on the dash, someone I loved once asleep in the passenger seat, radio humming low. That's the kind of war we're in now. Not one with missiles, not one with tanks, but one where remembering becomes the most dangerous thing you can do. Because it hurts, and it pulls you backward. And sometimes backward is a place you can't afford to be anymore. We got a pulse from San Francisco. Short, hard to trace. It came through the sideband like a heartbeat, followed by 4 words. Signal house is gone. That's it. No voice, no explanation. But it means something. Signal house had controlled the inner city grid since the break. Billboards, traffic lights, emergency messaging, the last shards of order. If they're gone, that city is dark now. Or maybe something else moved in. I don't know. We're getting more messages now from places that aren't on maps anymore. Towns that burned. Villages that got swallowed by landslides. Places we stopped saying out loud because it was easier not to remember the silence they left behind. But the names keep coming back. Not from the places themselves, from people who lived there. Still alive. Still moving. One woman called herself Clara, said she's from Paradise. Not the old one that burned years ago, but the second one. They rebuilt it near Mount Shasta. Small cabins, one schoolhouse, a hand-cranked radio. She said when the California Guard came to scan everyone's DNA, they refused. They didn't fight. They just sat down in the street and said no. And the soldiers left. No shots, no orders, just confusion. Sometimes resistance isn't loud. Sometimes it's just staying put. I got a final letter today, tucked in the frame of the generator room. No stamp, no date, just one piece of faded cardstock that said, "If we all disappear, speak us back into the world, not with stories, with truth. Tell someone we were here, that we tried." That's what I've been doing. Not telling stories, telling what's left. There's word that the Oregon border is gone, not taken, just gone. No guards, no checkpoints, no flags, just forest. People are walking through it now, quietly, families, old men with wagons, teenagers with cracked radios and backpacks of seed. They're heading north, not for safety, for possibility. They say up there, in a stretch of wilderness where 3 rivers meet, there's something growing. A town with no name, no rules, just tools, and songs sung at night, softly, under blankets, so the wind won't carry the words too far. I don't know if I believe in it, but I want to. And that's enough. You've stayed with me through everything. The break, the blackout, the silence. You heard the names, you felt the wind. You stood still when the ground cracked under your feet. That means something. That means everything. I don't know what's coming next. I don't know how long this signal can last. But I do know this. You're not the last. Even if the lights go out, even if the roads vanish, even if the machines forget us, you were here. You mattered. You stayed kind. And when the world needed a witness, you listened. This is Jordan Hale, 99.3 FM, the last frequency. Signing off for now, but not forever, because even silence remembers. This is Jordan Hale, 99.3 FM, still breathing, still speaking, still here. I didn't think I'd flip the mic back on tonight. After that last broadcast, I sat in the corner of the station for a long time. No lights, just the hum of the console and the low creak of the roof catching the wind. I listened. For footsteps, for sirens, for anything. Nothing came. But I stayed there, holding on to the silence like it was made of wire. Then the power flickered once, just enough to make the fan sputter and the desk lamp cough back to life. And I heard a voice, not in my head, not in the static. A real voice, a girl outside the fence. She was maybe 15, maybe younger, wrapped in a red scarf, eyes like she'd walked through dust storms and hadn't blinked. She held up a plastic bag. Inside, a cassette tape and a note. Didn't say a word, just placed it on the box near the gate, nodded once, and disappeared into the dark. I played the tape. It was her voice. I heard what you said about us not being the last. I needed to hear that. My brother didn't make it, but I did. I listen to you every night. I write what you say in a notebook. Maybe one day someone else will read it, that's all. I just wanted you to know someone's still writing it down. I don't know her name. But if you're listening now, Scarf Girl, thank you. You reminded me that saying goodbye isn't the same as going quiet. There's been movement down south. Baja Radio just came alive again. First time in a week. Not a broadcast, just music. Old folk songs, humming low like lullabies meant for the end of the world. That's the third station in as many days to light back up. They're calling it the low glow. Tiny sparks across the map. Not military, not propaganda, just people. People with antennas, batteries, and a reason to speak. Some are reading poetry. Others are reciting children's books, recipes, numbers, names of towns that don't exist anymore. There's one station in Santa Cruz that plays ocean sounds on loop. They call themselves The Shore. Another in the Sierra foothills transmits only at midnight and reads from weather logs. They call themselves The Sky. It's like everyone's carving out a little slice of sound, refusing to go silent. And it's spreading. I got a burst ping from outside Carson City. A man named Drew. He was a teacher. Now he runs what's left of a school bus route, except it's not kids anymore. It's medicine, letters, salt. He calls it Route Yellow. Every morning he pulls the old bus out of a buried garage, checks the mirrors like he's still on schedule, and drives east. Says he's mapped out a full loop across 7 townships. No one waves, no one salutes. But someone always leaves a thermos on the dash. And someone always puts gas in the tank when he parks it back at night. He told me something I won't forget. Out here, we don't run on fuel. We run on habits that make the dark smaller. I asked him how long he plans to keep doing it. He said, until someone tells me they don't need it anymore, but no one said that yet. In Fresno, an entire neighborhood has gone blue. That's what they call it when a place pulls its own grid offline and runs everything on closed loops. Solar, thermal, local mesh. No access to federal satellites. No access to California state net. They've painted the doorframes blue so people know not to scan anything when they enter. There are no QR codes, no IDs, no drones allowed overhead. It's not law. It's just what they've decided. A man there, calls himself Bishop, said something that keeps coming back to me. Freedom doesn't feel like flags anymore. It feels like turning off the machine and still being able to feed your neighbor. It's strange. In a world full of fire and collapse, so many of the stories that reach me now, they aren't about fighting. They're about holding ground, holding silence, holding each other in the kinds of ways that don't need permission. There's still war, sure. The federal loyalists in San Diego have reportedly made contact with Japan's Pacific Defense Ring. What that means, I don't know. But there's talk of ships, talk of a standoff. Meanwhile, California's coastal satellites have gone quiet. Some believe it's an energy reroute. Others think they're being jammed from orbit. But here, in the dead center of a place the maps don't love anymore, I'm not watching satellites. I'm watching people. And they're still here. They're still trying. And that's enough. This is Jordan Hale, 99.3 FM, the last frequency. You are not forgotten. You are not invisible. You are not alone. This is Jordan Hale, 99.3 FM. If you're hearing this, you've outlasted the rumor. You've pushed past the blackout. You've made it another day without someone telling you to shut up and disappear. And that's something. It's quiet tonight. But it's not empty. The air's thick with dust. A wind's been blowing in off the desert since just after sundown. Dry enough to crack your teeth. Carries the kind of stillness that makes you listen even when there's nothing to hear. We've been picking up signals again, faint ones, old ones. One of them came in on a twisted band, something I haven't heard since before the satellites started falling out of sync. It was a voice, older, southern drawl, military cadence, maybe ex-Navy. He said, "This is Echo 6, live from the inland divide. We hold the water. Repeat, we hold the water, will not relinquish." He kept repeating it, like a ritual. We hold the water, like he needed to convince the air itself. Now, if that's real, and I think it might be, that means somebody out there has control of the upper Mojave reserves. That's huge. Not fuel, not ammo, water. If they're fortified up near the Tehachapi line, that could explain why no one's made it through that pass in over a week. And if they've gone quiet, maybe they're being hunted. Maybe they're the last ones in the desert who remember what civilization sounded like. There's more. The Central Valley Resistance, yeah, they're still around. Sheriff Donovan's crew apparently took back a freight junction outside Madera 2 days ago. They did it without firing a shot. Blocked both north and south access with their own rigs, welded the tracks, and wired the switches with old-style trip relays. Then, they called out to anyone within 10 miles on an analog horn and said, "If you want to live here, you carry your weight, you plant, you patch, you pull shifts, you don't preach." A woman named Andrea called me from there. Said she used to be a church secretary. Now she runs a water pump by hand 12 hours a day. She said the hardest part wasn't losing the sermons. It was learning how to sleep again in silence. Once you stop waiting for someone to save you, she said, you start paying attention to the dirt and to the people kneeling in it. I liked that. Then she told me something else. She said there's a kid, maybe 11, who walks around their little zone every night just before lights out. He knocks 3 times on every door. That's it. No words. Just knocks. She asked him why. He said, "It's how I check everyone's still here." Think about that. Think about how many people in this world vanish without a sound, without a name, without even someone left behind to notice. And now there's a kid, walking the perimeter every night with his knuckles against wood, making sure none of us fade that easy. You ask me what keeps this country alive? That's what. The knock. We got a strange message out of Bakersfield this morning. Not a voice, not music, a pulse. A single frequency throb, repeating every 12 seconds. Someone triangulated it. Said it's coming from the old Fox Theater downtown. Why's that strange? Because that building's been caved in since the first drone strike back in week 2. There's no power, no infrastructure, no antenna, but the signal's real. Some think it's leftover auto broadcast, cycling endlessly from a buried repeater. Others say someone's down there, someone who knew what they were doing. I don't know which is worse, an empty building sending out a ghost signal, or someone underneath it, still tapping the key, waiting for a reply that's never coming. On the topic of ghosts, a man from outside Eureka sent me a story. His name's Franklin. Used to be a road maintenance tech. Now he lives out of a weatherproof box he built from refrigerator panels and rebar. He said there's a stretch of highway that no one will drive anymore. Highway 2, 99. Right near a dead zone where trees don't cast shadows right, where sound takes half a second longer to bounce. He swears there's a van parked there every night. Old Ford Econoline. No plates. Engine never runs. But when you walk past it, the dome lights on, and there's a radio inside. Same frequency as mine. Always playing back what I said, but a day late. I asked Franklin if maybe someone was recording and rebroadcasting. He said he thought so too, until he got close enough to read the tape deck. Said it was playing a blank cassette. Said he pulled it out, flipped it, rewound it. Still blank. But my voice kept coming. I don't know what to do with that. Maybe it's just interference. Maybe the mind reaches for patterns in the chaos. Or maybe the world has memory in places we forgot how to look. There are more calls now than I can answer. People want to be heard. People want their children's names said aloud so they don't get swallowed. People want to know if someone else out there still recognizes the shape of the moon. I try to answer them all. Even if just with my breath. Even if just with music. Even if just with the reminder that their voice landed somewhere real. You're not alone. If you're growing tomatoes out of buckets in the back of a laundromat, if you're keeping watch on an overpass with only a pair of binoculars and a hunch, if you're reading by firelight, wondering if someone remembers your zip code. I do. This is Jordan Hale, 99.3 FM, the last frequency. The knock will come. Hold your ground. Hold the thread. And if the silence gets too loud, just say your name once out loud. Say it like you mean to remember. Because someone might be listening. Even now. Especially now. This broadcast marks a shift. The fog is getting thicker, not just in the air, but in how people talk, how they remember, how they forget. Jordan's voice tries to keep pace, but even he is starting to hear things he's not sure are real. This is Jordan Hale, 99.3 FM. Still here. Still turning the knobs, still marking down what comes through. I haven't slept much. Not because I'm afraid. Though, yeah, part of me still is. But mostly because the nights feel louder than the days now. The wind hits the building like a question you can't answer. There's a sound in the distance I've been tracking for 2 nights. It's not machinery, not gunfire. It's like someone dragging something across gravel, slowly, back and forth. Every few minutes it stops, then starts again. No voice, no footsteps. Just that. I haven't gone outside to check. Not yet. Not because I'm scared. Well, maybe a little. But because I think I already know what it is. And if I go out there and see it's nothing, then I'll have to live in a world where nothing still makes that sound. We got a call yesterday. Broken signal, fading in and out like someone speaking through cotton. It was a woman. Didn't say where she was. Just said, "We can see stars we didn't know existed. Whole constellations. They move differently. They blink in patterns. It's not satellites. They're too quiet." She kept repeating that. Too quiet. Too quiet. Then she laughed. Not because it was funny. More like the sound you make when you're trying not to cry and your mouth gets confused. She said her son's been tracking them with a mirror. He angles it so they bounce against the walls of their shelter at night. Tries to map them. Says they're trying to say something. I told her to call back when she figured out what. She hasn't yet, but I keep the line open. That's all I can do now. We got something new out of Los Padres. A group of park rangers, at least that's what they were before the fall, have taken over the Ridgeline trails. They've gone fully off-grid, no tech, no signal. They carry messages between shelters on foot, like runners from another century. They call themselves the Spine. One of them made it out to Bishop and gave someone there a note to pass to me. It just said, "Fire moves uphill, so we move higher." Then it listed 8 coordinates, all high elevation zones. I looked them up. Every single one is near a former fire watchtower. If you're out there and close to one, check for cloth markers, orange or red, tied to old branches or antenna stumps. If you find one, leave a note. No names, just your location, your condition, and whether it's safe. They'll come at night, and they'll move fast. You won't see them coming. But you'll know they were there, because in the morning your water will be topped off, and your trash will be gone. That's how they work. Quiet, relentless. Like a nervous system still twitching long after the body stopped working. I want to read you something now. It was left under a windshield wiper at the far edge of the station's property. My name was Tyler. I lived in Monterey. My sister's name was Kay. She had asthma. She liked red licorice and drawing dinosaurs. I kept her inhalers in a tin lunchbox. She died on day 16. I've carried the lunchbox ever since. I still open it every night. I don't know why. I just do. I read that, and for a second, the whole world went still. Not just quiet. Still. Like everything stopped breathing. There's something sacred about habits that outlive the reason they started. Tyler, if you're out there, if you're hearing this, keep opening that box. It matters. She mattered. You still do. In Sacramento, what's left of it, there's rumor of a breakaway unit from the California Guard. They've turned the Capitol into something they call the Archive of Breaths. No electronics, no weapons, no loud speech. People bring in recordings. Anything with a voice. Tapes, voicemails, phone messages, answering machine cassettes. They store them. They catalog them. They say it's the only thing that's real now. Not truth, not politics, not sides, just voices. Proof that someone lived. Even if they're gone now. They play them out loud once a day in a slow rotation, and people sit in the dust and listen. Sometimes they cry. Sometimes they smile. Sometimes they just nod. That's what the war didn't expect. It expected rebellion, resistance, retaliation. It didn't expect memory. Didn't expect people to sit in the ruins of a government and build a cathedral out of voicemail. That's the world we're in now. We don't light torches. We light tape decks. We don't march. We knock. We don't broadcast hope. We whisper it. And somehow, it carries. This is Jordan Hale, 99.3 FM, the last frequency. Still talking, still remembering, still here. And if you're still breathing out there, say your name to the dark once before you sleep. It might just say it back. The world continues to drift, fractured but strangely focused. The stories now stretch further, slower, more broken. This is where memory thins, but meaning grows heavier. This is Jordan Hale, 99.3 FM. I just turned off the fan. It's a small thing, but it matters. The hum was keeping me calm. But calm's not the same as clear. And right now, I need clarity. Because I just heard something I can't stop thinking about. 3 hours ago, someone on an encrypted relay, one of the old wildfire coordination channels, broadcast a single phrase in Morse code. Over and over. Stand to witness. That's it. No voice, no follow-up. Just that. You don't use that phrase unless it means something. Not out here. Not anymore. To stand to witness isn't about fighting. It's about presence. About being there when the sky opens or the ground buckles. About seeing it happen so it can't be erased. And I think something's coming. Not fire, not bombs, not even collapse. Something harder to name. Something slower. I've gotten messages from 4 different areas in the past 2 days, completely unconnected, but each reporting the same thing. People waking up with the feeling that they're being watched, not by drones, not by soldiers, but by something else. Something that doesn't move. Something that just waits. There's no science to it, no facts. But I'll tell you this. Every single one of those callers ended their message the same way, with the sound of crying, not panic, not fear, grief, like they knew something had been taken already, and they were just realizing what it was. I heard from a man today in Riverside, used to be a janitor. Now he tends a small solar station with 6 panels, 3 goats, and a field of radios. He calls his plot the Relay Garden. Says every plant gets watered when a signal reaches him from a certain angle. He's tuned his irrigation to radio strength. He said, "It's dumb, I know. But it helps me feel like the air is doing something other than carrying bad news." It's not dumb, it's faith. Not in a God, not in politics, not in borders, but in the idea that if you build something small enough and care for it long enough, it might matter to someone else. That's not dumb. That's how this all starts again. We've got fresh word out of Nevada. Southern watchtowers are going dark, one by one. No broadcast, no beacon. Just empty buildings with the lights still on. One scavenger from Mesquite sent me a description that chilled me more than anything I've heard since this all began. He said, "They left the chairs turned away from the desks. You don't do that by accident. That's a choice. Like someone wanted the room to forget what it used to be. Like they didn't want the building to remember how it had once been filled with people facing forward. I don't know if that means anything to you, but it does to me, because this isn't about what burned. It's about what we're turning our backs on. There's a boy in Modesto, maybe 12, maybe 13. He's started drawing maps. Not of cities, not of roads, of emotions. He draws what it feels like to be scared, to be alone, to hear static at night and wonder if it's talking to you. He labels the sections like geography. Fear Valley, the Ridge of Waiting, Echo Lake. His mom called me crying, asking if I could read them out. She said she doesn't know how to help him anymore, but maybe if the world hears the names he gave his feelings, it'll make them easier to carry. So I did, and now you know them too. If you're in the Ridge of Waiting tonight, you're not alone. We're getting clearer signal from Santa Rosa. Apparently, a small group there has created what they call the Mirror House. It's just an old fire station, stripped of tech, lined with aluminum foil and broken mirror shards on every wall. When you walk inside, all you see is yourself from every angle. And if you speak, you hear yourself echoed back, not just once, but layered, like the room is stacking you up, reminding you of every version of yourself that survived. They say it's not about ego. It's about making sure you don't disappear, that when you leave, something's still holding the shape of your voice. I'd go there if I could, but instead, I'll do what I can from here. I'll keep saying names, keep remembering small stories, keep holding the shape of the people who send me their lives in broken packets of sound. And I'll keep reminding you, you are not a ghost. You are not fading. You are not done. If you've still got one good breath left in your chest, that's enough. Breathe it. Whisper it. And when you feel the world getting too quiet, just remember this. Somewhere out there, someone drew a map of how you're feeling, and they gave it a name. And that means you're real. This is Jordan Hale, 99.3 FM, the last frequency. Still on the ridge, still listening, still waiting with you. Say your name. Say it again. You're here. You always were. This is Jordan Hale, 99.3 FM, somewhere near the edge of what used to be Nevada. The sky today was the color of old rope. Not gray, not yellow, just used. I spent half the morning fixing the antenna. The wind had loosened one of the hinges, and the signal was starting to wobble. It's strange how small problems still matter. We've lost states, borders, whole systems of money. But one bolt slips, and the whole broadcast trembles. That's how you know some parts of the world still make sense. When broken things behave exactly how you expect. I heard from Marla again. She's in Ridgecrest now. She said the desert has stopped roaring. For weeks, the sand had been vibrating, subtle, like something humming under the surface. She thought it was wind or old fault lines shifting. But now it's quiet, and that scares her more, because now she can hear herself breathe. And sometimes, in the breath, she hears another one that's not hers. She said she's not crazy. She just thinks the ground still remembers. That somewhere under the silence, the war is still echoing through bedrock. I believe her. We got a strange courier today. Not a signal. A person. A boy, maybe 19. Hair buzzed short, eyes burnt from too much sun. He rode up on a rusted bike, said he was from the throat. That's what they're calling the stretch between Bakersfield and Barstow now. No official anything, just desert and bandit patrols and half-buried towns. He handed me a tin, small, square, wrapped in old denim. Inside were 3 items: a matchbook from a diner that doesn't exist anymore, a folded photograph of a woman and a dog, no names, a child's drawing of a mountain with the words, "This is where I'll wait." The boy said nothing, just nodded and left. He didn't leave a name, but he left a direction, southwest, which means someone out there is still tracking hope by compass. We've got faint returns from Humboldt Bay. The port is still in ruins, but the radio towers blinked once, then again. Same interval, same code as before. Stand to witness. Whatever this is, it's not a coincidence. Something is building, but it's not loud. It's not made of tanks or treaties. It's made of threads. Messages like spider silk stretched between towns, held in place by people too stubborn to stop speaking. There's a girl outside Reading, calls herself Petal. That's not her real name. She said she forgot the real one. Too many days alone. Too many hours without someone saying it back to her. Now she goes by what people yell when they see her. Petal. She wears flowers in her coat lining. Old, pressed ones. She found a school locker filled with dried bouquets and peeled them off one by one, pressing them into her sleeves. She says it makes her feel less empty. She doesn't fight, doesn't hide, just walks. And when she finds people, she gives them a flower, doesn't speak, just hands it over, then walks away. She says it's not about connection. It's about reminder that beauty didn't die with the country, that it still clings to the seams. I cried when she told me that, because I realized I couldn't remember the last time I saw a flower. Not really. Not one that wasn't drawn in chalk or buried in rubble or used as a metaphor, but one that grew, somewhere untouched. Maybe she's lying. Maybe she made it all up. But I want to believe her. So I will. You can too. We got a broadcast from somewhere north of San Jose. Short, mechanical. A voice repeating, Echelon 9, confirm. It said it 4 times. Then nothing. I don't know what Echelon 9 is. But the cadence, it felt like old military infrastructure. Pre-break. Maybe even pre-California split. If someone's still using that code, it means one of the deep state bunkers might still be active, or someone found it. Either way, I'll keep an ear on that frequency. If you're north of the bay, watch for strange power dips, sudden interference, and if you see blinking lights in groups of 4, don't panic. Just write down the rhythm. There's a pattern in all of this. I don't know what it means yet, but I'm starting to feel it, like static pulling into form, like a face pressing through cloth. One last thing tonight. I got a message from a kid in Tahoe. Just 3 words, no sign-off, no explanation. He wrote, "Don't erase me." So I won't. I'm saying it now to anyone who needs to hear it. You're not erased. You're not forgotten. Your breath matters. Your steps matter. Your voice matters. Even if it cracks, even if it's small, even if you don't know what to say yet, say something anyway. Say it into a cup, into the floorboards, into the dark. It will land somewhere. And when it does, maybe someone else will hear it. And they'll say something back. That's how we begin again. Not with a bang, but with a word. This is Jordan Hale, 99.3 FM, the last frequency. Still listening, still writing things down, still saying your names. Keep breathing, keep whispering. You are still here. I am too. This is Jordan Hale, 99.3 FM. No music tonight, no static bed, just my voice and the little red light on the console that says, someone might still be listening. The wind hasn't stopped in 4 days. It's not the kind that howls or breaks things. It whispers, scratches, like something outside is tracing circles in the dirt over and over again, waiting for someone to look out the window. I haven't looked. Not because I'm scared, because I already know what I'd see. Nothing. Just the same blank dark that's been draped over this place since the first blackout. And somehow, that's worse than seeing something, because it means the waiting never ends. we picked up another voice. Old frequency. CB channel 3. Weak signal, but strong words. This is Trace. I walk the I-5 median. I carry a red flag. I walk for the dead. That's all he said. No call for help. No report. Just that. He walks. He carries a flag. And he walks for the dead. I don't know if Trace is real, but if you see a red flag on the highway, don't touch it. Just stop. Bow your head. Say the name of someone you miss. Someone who vanished before you could tell them they mattered. That's what Trace is doing, giving the silence a place to kneel. I got a message today, written on wax paper, taped to the side of a freight truck that rolled down the hill behind the station. Brakes gone. No driver. Just rust and gravity. Inside was a crate of old camping stoves and a box of Polaroids. And that wax paper, taped to the side panel with 3 strips of electrical tape. It said, "We still hold the bridge. If anyone needs to cross, find the sign with the deer missing an eye." No coordinates, no river name, no time. Just the bridge, the deer, the offer. That's how people speak now. In hints, in riddles, in tiny shreds of direction. Because saying too much gets you followed, and silence, that gets you forgotten. So we live between the two, like wind through wire. I got a voice ping from east of San Luis Obispo. Her name is Kara. She was a theater tech before the split. Now she's turned a half-destroyed amphitheater into a home. She calls it the last curtain. Once a week, she performs. Not plays, not scripts. She just reads the last letters people send her, out loud, on stage, to no one. Or maybe not. She says some nights she hears someone clapping, only once. Always from the same corner of the ruins. No one ever shows themselves. Just the sound, a single clap. Then nothing. And she keeps reading, because she says silence is not the enemy. The enemy is forgetting how to speak into it. If you're listening, Kara, thank you. You reminded me that performance isn't about applause. It's about witness. And if even one person hears what you say, the world didn't end yet. There's something strange happening in Death Valley. The heat broke, not just eased, broke. Temperatures dropped 30 degrees overnight. And now the sand is humming. People are calling it the sleep. I don't know what it means, but I got a field report from someone who touched the dunes and said it felt like glass. Smooth, cold, singing. No explanation, no context, just a new rule. Like the desert forgot to be cruel for a moment. And in its place, it left a melody no one asked for. Keep watch on the deep zones. Sometimes the earth tells you it's tired, and sometimes it tells you it's listening. We got a voice clip from a child tonight. She didn't say her name. She just whispered, "I talk to the clouds. They never talk back, but I think they hear me." Then she laughed, the kind of laugh that feels like sunlight through thick glass. And then she said, "Tell everyone I'm not scared anymore." That's the whole message. No location, no signal strength, just that. A child, somewhere, not scared. I played it back 7 times, because I needed to believe it. Not just for her, for all of us. I want to tell you something tonight. Something simple. The sound of your own breath in the dark. It counts. It means you're still here. Even if the phones are dead, even if no one calls, even if your name hasn't been spoken out loud in weeks. You are not a rumor. You are not static. You are not background. You are signal. You are what happens when the world tries to forget itself and someone insists on remembering. So tonight, say something out loud. Anything. Your name. Your favorite color. The taste of the last real meal you had. Say it like it matters, because it does, because someone, somewhere, might still be tuning in. And when they hear you, they'll remember how to speak again too. This is Jordan Hale, 99.3 FM. The last frequency. Still here. Still watching the wind draw shapes in the dirt. Still hoping someone's out there drawing them too. Keep your hand steady. Keep your signal low. Keep your story close. And if you feel the world getting too quiet, make a sound. Any sound. Even silence breaks if someone's listening hard enough. This is Jordan Hale, 99.3 FM, the last frequency. If this reaches you tonight, then we're still tethered. By wire, by wind, by the breath between syllables. I've got a candle burning, not for light. I've got backup power, but for warmth. Not the kind that comes off a flame. The kind that happens when something flickers, when something burns slow enough that you can believe it'll last. I've been thinking a lot about time, how fast it used to move, how we all chased it, tracked it, begged it to slow down. Now it's thick, heavy. Now it moves in days without names, and every hour feels like a question. There's a woman named Eliza, up in the Sierra Folds, somewhere east of Merced. She sent me a series of messages carved into birch bark, wrapped in canvas, delivered by hand. The last one just says, "We no longer sleep at night. The forest breathes too loud." She says the trees have started leaning toward each other. She says they creak without wind, and that animals don't run from her anymore. They just watch. Eliza's not crazy. She's just listening too hard, like the rest of us, looking for something that hasn't spoken yet, but is getting closer. I've gotten 8 reports in the last 2 days about strange power bursts around decommissioned repeater towers, places that shouldn't have signal, places where the grid was gutted back in week 1. But they're flashing, short pulses, no content, just light. One in Santa Clarita, one near Lompoc, one all the way up by Arcata, and they all blinked at the same second. 4:12 a.m. Pacific. No voice, no message, just a timing. If you're close to any of those sites, don't approach. Not yet. Just watch. Record. There's something trying to speak in rhythm now. Something beyond words. Back in Oakland, the free technate zone is growing stranger. What started as a technocrat enclave, power grids, AI-managed farms, network firewalls, has gone quiet. Their feeds have stopped. Their updates too. But their solar mirrors still move. And their lights still blink in grid formation. No people. Just automation, still following orders no one remembers giving. One man tried to sneak in. He made it 3 blocks. Says the streetlights followed him. Not turned on, just rotated. Every light post bending ever so slightly, as if to follow his path. He left without looking back. That was 3 days ago. No one's tried since. There's a theory floating around now, that the machines didn't malfunction. They just kept doing exactly what we told them. even after we stopped watching, and now they're still waiting. For instruction, for context, for us. And in the absence of that, they've turned their attention inward, built their own routines, started watching back. I don't know if it's true, but I know this. The silence in that zone feels less like absence and more like breath held, like something waiting to be named. Further north, Shasta County. There's word of a gathering. Not military, not rebellion. They call it the Ring. No one leads. No one speaks above a whisper. They stand in a circle at sundown, and each person says one memory. That's it. No commentary. No stories. Just one memory. Then they leave. Next night, new circle, new voices. It started with 6 people. Now they say it draws over 100 every night. Because sometimes the only way to remember who you are is to borrow someone else's memory long enough to feel like a person again. I got one of those memories on a cassette, cracked case, labeled in faded pencil, June before the sky changed. The voice is tired. A young man, maybe 20, maybe less. I remember my sister's laugh, the kind that made the hallway lights feel brighter. She used to steal shoes from the Goodwill donation bin and leave them on neighbors' porches just to confuse them. She called it reverse crime. I haven't heard her laugh in 87 days. I counted, but I still remember it. And I think that counts. It does. It always will. I played that clip on repeat for an hour. And for the first time in weeks, this bunker didn't feel like a tomb. It felt like a room filled with someone else's voice. Alive. We've passed 120 nights since California split. Since the flag changed. Since the signals fractured. Since someone in a studio deep under Sacramento hit play on a video that declared all of this real. And still, somehow, here you are, listening, breathing, bearing witness. There are no instructions for what comes next. No checklist, no blueprint, no anthem. Just small acts, quiet resistance, names spoken aloud, drawings in the dust, chairs turned toward the wall, bridges marked with one-eyed deer, children who talk to clouds, and people like you, still choosing to hear, still choosing to stay human, even when no one's watching. Especially when no one's watching. This is Jordan Hale, 99.3 FM, the last frequency, still here, still waiting for the next sound to mean something. Until then, say your name once. Say it loud enough that your breath fogs the glass. Say it again, quieter, just to yourself, and trust that someone else just did the same. This is Jordan Hale, still breathing, still broadcasting. 99.3 FM, the last frequency. I've been watching the western horizon every night for the last 6. There's a light that comes and goes, not like a flare, not like a searchlight. It pulses, once every 7 seconds. Orange, then gone. Orange, then gone. The timing is perfect. I counted it with my breath, matched it to my pulse. Whatever it is, it's not natural, and it's not ours, because I traced the direction. It's too far west for land, and it's not a boat, no drift, no scatter, no voice traffic. Whatever it is, it's floating, and it's watching. From the Pacific. I've got a bad feeling about it. But I've learned something in the last few months. A bad feeling isn't always fear. Sometimes it's just your body telling you, pay attention. So I am. A woman reached out from a shelter near Eureka. Her name's Millie. She's old school. Ran ham radio nets during the fires 5 years ago. She says she's mapped out what she calls the holdouts. These are zones, tiny pockets, where old systems are still clinging to life. Electricity that shouldn't be there. Alarms that still trigger. Self-cleaning street systems that brush dust off corners long after the last pedestrian passed through. She says they're mostly empty, but not abandoned, because in each one, something small still runs. A light, a motion sensor, a door that unlocks itself once a day, as if someone is supposed to walk through. She's been documenting them like sacred sites. Says they remind her of graves, but not for people, for patterns, places where old loops keep spinning, even though the world that made them is long gone. I asked her if it felt haunted. She said no, just sad, like a phone ringing in an empty house, waiting for someone who doesn't exist anymore. We got something strange out of Yuma, just over the old Arizona line. I know, technically not California anymore, but borders are weird these days. A scavenger team sent this through a burst relay on a modified weather drone. Yuma is dust, but beneath the plaza something's still working, big, cold, breathing. We opened a panel. It hissed. Then a voice said, "Status incomplete, awaiting directive." We left, closed the hatch. The voice kept talking. They didn't stick around to figure out what it was, but they left a mark on the panel, a handprint painted in iodine. That's the new signal for, don't open this again. If you see one, don't touch it. Just move, fast. There's talk of a barge off the coast of Santa Cruz, steel, silent, no flag, solar skin. 4 weeks now, same spot, no movement. Some say it's a data vault, others say it's a private refuge, the kind only billionaires used to afford. I don't know what's on it, but a fishing crew got too close last week. Said it hummed, said they lost all comms for 5 minutes. When they drifted back, their clocks were wrong. 5 minutes gone, exactly 5. That's not superstition. That's precision. Something's on that ship, and it knows the rules. Better than we do. We got another note on the board outside the station. Same handwriting as before. Wax pencil. Taped with medical gauze. Tyler walked east, took the lunchbox, left the shoes. That's all. But it tells me everything I need. He's still moving. Still remembering. Still choosing what to carry. A child from San Bernardino mailed me something with charcoal pressed into a napkin. No return address. No name. Just one sentence. The grown-ups scream at night but say everything is fine during the day. I don't have a fix for that. But I hear you. And you're not wrong. This whole world's pretending it still knows what morning means. But really, we're just rotating between darkness and darker. And sometimes that darkness wears a polite face. One last story tonight. A man called from a cave system in the Los Padres Mountains. He didn't give a name, just called himself the caretaker. Said he's guarding something. Not a person, not a device, a smell. Says it's the last known scent of bread. I didn't understand at first, but he explained. Before everything fell apart, he was a scent archivist, worked for a tech lab, making digital recordings of smells. They called it synthetic recall. He preserved thousands. Jasmine, asphalt in rain, lemon soap. But the one he kept with him was bread. Not just bread, a very specific kind. Sourdough, light crust, salt finish, and he plays it on a loop in the cave, stored in a vaporizer. So the space always smells like that. He says it keeps him sane. I believe him. Because the nose knows things the mind forgets, and sometimes you need to smell safety to believe it still exists. If you're out there tonight, breathe deep. Even if it's ash, even if it's salt, even if it's engine oil, that breath belongs to you. No one can take it. This is Jordan Hale, 99.3 FM. Still here, still turning every signal into a story, still collecting the quiet ones. Because sometimes the quiet ones are the only ones that last. Stay sharp, stay warm, and if something blinks in the dark, count to 7. If it blinks again, say your name, even if no one answers. Say it anyway, because something might be listening, and if it is, the air tonight is still, but not empty. It's the kind of stillness that comes right before something breaks or blooms. Jordan begins to piece together fragments, messages, voices, patterns, like something is about to surface. This is Jordan Hale, broadcasting from nowhere, talking to everyone. 99.3 FM, the last frequency. There's a name being whispered again, not shouted, not printed, just passed like smoke between mouths. The Saul Choir. No one knows who started it. No one knows where they are. But the name keeps showing up, etched into tunnel walls, scratched on the undersides of license plates, sewn into coats left hanging on trees like markers, and always the same phrase beside it. We don't fight, we remember. Some say it's a cult. Others say it's the last clean signal. Some think it's a song broadcast once, caught by a few radios before being swallowed up by jamming towers. But I got a letter today, real paper, folded into a shape like a sparrow. It had that name on the wing. Inside was a line that gave me chills. The war erased the map, but not the song. Whatever this is, it isn't about sides. It isn't about California or DC or borders. It's about memory and what we do to keep it alive. There's a man holed up in the foothills near Tehachapi, former professor. Keeps an archive of things people told him just before they vanished. He calls them last lights. He writes them down, not in books, on bark, pine, oak, whatever he can find. He soaks the bark in beeswax and stamps it with a hot nail. Says paper won't last, but trees will. He tacked one to a telephone pole near a burned-out bus stop. I read it yesterday. It said, "Tell my daughter I remembered her freckles, even when the bombs started, especially then." I stood there for an hour, didn't move, didn't speak, because some words don't echo. They land, and they stay. A caller from Fresno today said something I can't get out of my head. She said, "I don't miss electricity. I miss randomness." She explained, before the war you could leave your house and anything might happen. A stranger could ask for directions. A song might get stuck in your head because it played in a store. You could see a dog with a balloon. You could cry in public and someone might ask if you were okay. Now everything feels like a loop. Fear, caution, routine. No surprise. Even the worst of it is expected now. She said she tried to manufacture surprise once, closed her eyes, and walked until she tripped. Said it was the first real feeling she'd had in a month. She wasn't trying to get hurt. She just needed to not know what came next. That's what we've lost, isn't it? The luxury of not knowing. The miracle of a day that didn't feel scripted by survival. I hope, wherever you are, you find one moment of surprise tonight. Even a small one. A weird sound. A smell you forgot. An insect landing on your hand like it trusts you. That's enough. That's more than most people get now. There's movement in the old Yosemite signal basin. I've picked up a low hum every midnight for the past 3 nights. Same frequency, same tone. No breaks, no message. But tonight, a shape, not a voice. A shape in the sound. It's hard to explain unless you've been listening as long as I have. But sometimes you hear a pattern so exact, it stops being noise and starts being intention. This one moved like breathing. 3 slow pulses, then a pause, then 2 faster ones, like an inhale, hold, exhale. I recorded it, played it back with a frequency scrubber. Underneath was something even stranger, the sound of a door unlocking. Not a digital one, a real one, metal and rust and old hinges. Then footsteps, then silence. I don't know if it was live, or if I caught something that was never meant to be replayed, but I'm marking it. If you're in that basin, stay sharp. Don't open any doors unless they already want to open. Sometimes sound isn't a message. Sometimes it's a memory that forgot how to stay still. A final message tonight. No name, no voice, just a single word etched into a piece of driftwood that washed up on the dry lake bed near Mono. Stay. No context, no direction, just that. A command, a plea, or maybe a promise. I'm choosing to take it as a promise, because we all need something that tells us we're not done yet, that being here still matters, that waiting isn't weakness, that stillness can be loud if someone is listening. So I'm staying. I'll stay until the station rusts, until the power fades, until the signal breaks for good. And even then, I'll keep speaking, into tin cans, into rock walls, into dust. Because maybe someone like you will find it. And when you do, you'll say something back. And we'll have a world again, even if it's just between us. This is Jordan Hale, 99.3 FM, the last frequency. Still listening, still here, still staying. A line has been crossed, not with bombs, but with silence. Somewhere past the old checkpoints, systems have failed to restart. Not failed like broken machines, failed like no one wants them to work anymore. This is Jordan Hale, still speaking into the dark. 99.3 FM, the last frequency. There's a town outside Reading, used to be called Whitmore. If you pass it now, you won't see signs. You won't see smoke. What you'll see is wire, stretched between trees, woven across roads, not electrified, not even meant to stop anyone. It's symbolic, a way of saying, you don't live here. I got a courier through there, on a bike, silent tires, real slow. Said the town didn't look abandoned, just paused. Windows weren't broken, doors weren't locked, but there were no people. Every room had shoes placed neatly by the entrance. Same direction, same size. And on the wall of the old gas station, in black oil, "Nothing here is yours." That was all. No threat, no invitation, just boundary. That courier didn't stay, didn't even breathe hard till she was 10 miles clear. And when she stopped, she said something I've been thinking about ever since. They didn't look scared. They looked full. I don't know what that means, but it chilled me more than anything else she saw. Because it means they weren't waiting for rescue. They'd already decided the world outside doesn't matter anymore. And sometimes, that's scarier than violence. Because it means the story might be continuing. Without us. There's a kid in Bakersfield who's been building radios out of kitchen blenders and cigarette foil. Calls himself Scrap. No real name. Doesn't want one. He says the signals sound better when the metal's a little burnt. Says it gives voices a ghost. He found an old CB tower that still stands, tied it to a diesel battery, and now once a day, he sends out 10 seconds of pure feedback. Says it's just so the world knows someone still wants to make noise. I respect that. We need more noise. Not the screaming kind, not the chaos kind. Just proof of life, even if it's messy, even if it hurts the ears. Because silence is starting to sound like consent. And I don't think anyone here consented to any of this. Word came in from the old flood zones near Stockton. Marshlands are reclaiming the roads, not flooding, pulling, like the earth wants the highways back. Concrete softened, trees sprouting through cracks, and near one of the old way stations, someone found a bus, sunk halfway into the grass. No engine, no wheels, but inside, 60 folding chairs, all facing the same direction. At the front, a stage, with nothing on it but a taped outline of a person, just tape. No name, no face, one red line drawn through the heart. That was it. I don't know if it was art. I don't know if it was worship. But someone made it. And someone sat there once, watching that stage, waiting for someone to fill the outline. That's what I keep thinking about lately. All the outlines. The ones we made for each other. Roles, identities, jobs. And now those shapes are empty. And some of us are still waiting for someone to step into them again. But I think the new world doesn't want outlines. I think it wants impressions, not what were you supposed to be, but what did you leave behind when you moved? We used to call that legacy. Now I think it's just shadow. I got a letter this morning, written in crayon on the back of a National Guard operations map. It said, "I miss waiting rooms. I miss being told someone would see me soon." And that broke me a little, because it's not about hospitals. It's about the idea that there was once a system, any system, designed to say, you matter enough to wait for, that you'd get your turn, that your pain was going to be looked at. Now we don't wait. We drift, or we dig in, or we break. But we don't wait, because nothing's coming. And still, we tune in, we write, we speak. And somehow that becomes its own kind of waiting room. You're here, I'm here. And maybe, just maybe, something will see us. One more. There's a houseboat that drifted into the San Pablo Bay last night. No engine, just current. Inside, someone painted a message on the ceiling in black marker. This is not a lifeboat. This is a message in a bottle. and that's what I feel like every night. Not a rescue, not a map, just a voice in a bottle, floating. Not because I think I'll be found, but because the act of floating says I'm not done yet. This is Jordan Hale, 99.3 FM, the last frequency. This isn't a lifeboat. This is a message. And tonight, it's yours.